Have you ever felt a wall around you, a silent, invisible barrier? It keeps you separate from others. You want to speak, to connect, but the words just don't come out. Your heart might beat a little faster, your palms might feel a bit sweaty. This feeling is known as shyness. It is a common experience for many people. It can make social situations feel very hard. It can make us feel alone, even in a crowd. Shyness often whispers doubts into our minds. It tells us we are not interesting enough. It suggests that others might judge us, or perhaps that we will say the wrong thing. These thoughts can be very powerful. They can hold us back from forming friendships. They can stop us from sharing our ideas or even from asking for simple help. But shyness is not a life sentence. It is not a fixed part of who you are. Think of it more like a habit of thinking and feeling in certain ways. And habits, even strong ones, can be changed. It takes understanding and some gentle practice. The journey out of shyness starts with small steps. This essay will explore a powerful way to ease shyness. Let me tell you about a man named Fred. Fred was a kind person with many thoughts, but he was also terribly shy. At parties or gatherings, he felt lost. He would often stand by the refreshment table. He would pretend to be busy with his drink, or he would check his phone repeatedly. Inside, he longed to talk to people. He saw others laughing and sharing stories. He wished he could be part of that. But fear always seemed to win the day. One evening, Fred was at a work event. It was a networking dinner, his worst nightmare. He found his usual spot by the window. He watched the snow fall outside. He felt the familiar knot in his stomach. Then he remembered some advice he had read. It said to ask someone a simple question, something about them, not about himself. He saw a colleague nearby, also alone. This colleague was looking at a painting on the wall. Fred took a deep breath, a very shaky one. He walked slowly towards his colleague. "That's an interesting painting, isn't it?" he managed to say. The colleague turned, a little surprised, then smiled. "Yes, it is," she replied. "I was just wondering what the artist was trying to convey." Fred felt a tiny spark of relief. She didn't think he was strange. That small question opened a door. Fred's experience shows us something important. When we are shy, our focus is usually inward. We worry about what others think of us. Am I saying the right thing? Do I look okay? Are they bored with me? These questions spin around in our heads. They create a lot of pressure and anxiety. It's like having a bright spotlight shining only on ourselves. This makes it very hard to relax. The magic happens when we turn that spotlight around, when we shift our focus from ourselves to others. This is done by showing genuine interest. It means wanting to learn about the other person. What do they think? What are their experiences? What are they passionate about? When you focus on understanding someone else, something amazing occurs. Your self-consciousness starts to fade. You're too busy listening and learning. There's less room for those anxious thoughts. Asking questions is a key part of this. Not like an interrogation, of course, but with gentle, open curiosity. This is the simple power of genuine curiosity. Consider the story of a young woman. She had severe acne scars on her face. These scars made her deeply self-conscious. She believed everyone was staring at her marks. She thought they were judging her appearance. Because of this, she became very shy. She avoided eye contact with most people. She spoke in a very soft voice. She rarely shared her opinions, even when she had good ideas. She felt her scars defined her entirely. She often sat alone during her lunch breaks. She would read a book, creating a barrier. One day, a new person joined her workplace. This person, let's call her Sarah, was friendly. Sarah noticed the young woman reading. Sarah didn't comment on her skin at all. Instead, Sarah asked about the book. "That looks like a fascinating story," Sarah said. "What do you enjoy most about that author's writing?" The young woman was surprised by this. She was used to feeling invisible or judged. The young woman hesitantly started talking about the book. She found Sarah was genuinely interested. For the first time in a long time, the young woman felt seen. Not for her scars, but for her thoughts. This small interaction began to change things for her. One of the easiest ways to start a conversation is to find common ground. Shared interests act like bridges. They connect you to another person. They provide a comfortable topic to talk about. When you share an interest, the conversation feels more natural. It flows more easily. There is less pressure to think of what to say next. You're both exploring something you enjoy. This can make social interactions much less daunting for shy individuals. How do you find these shared interests? Sometimes it's easy. You might be at an event related to a hobby, like a book club or a sports game. In these cases, the shared interest is obvious. You can talk about the book or the game. But what about other situations, like a party or a new class? The key is to observe and listen carefully. Look around you. What are people doing or wearing? What is the environment like? Perhaps you notice someone wearing a t-shirt of your favorite band. That's an instant conversation starter. Shared interests make the path to conversation smoother. Shyness often has deep roots. One of the deepest roots is a feeling of inferiority. It's that nagging inner voice, the inner critic. This critic tells us we are not good enough. It says we are not smart enough or funny enough or interesting enough. It constantly compares us to others. And in these comparisons, we often feel we fall short. This inner critic can be very loud. It can make us believe its negative messages are true. This feeling of not being enough fuels shyness. It makes us afraid of judgment. We think, if I speak, people will realize I'm not very smart, or if I approach that group, they'll see how awkward I am. This fear of being exposed as somehow lacking is powerful. It keeps us silent and withdrawn. The inner critic wants to protect us from perceived rejection, but in doing so, it actually isolates us. It prevents us from making genuine connections. The way to challenge this inner critic is to shift our mindset. Instead of focusing on our own perceived flaws, we focus on others. This outward focus quiets the inner critic. We're too busy being interested. Overcoming shyness is a journey, not a destination. It's about taking small, consistent steps. The most powerful step is learning to show genuine interest in others. This simple act can transform your social experiences. It shifts your focus from your own anxieties. It places it onto the world and people around you. This outward focus is liberating. It allows you to connect more freely and authentically. Remember Fred and his single brave question. Think about the girl who found her voice. Someone saw past her scars. They valued her thoughts. This is the gift you give when you show interest. You make others feel seen and heard. You make them feel important. And in doing so, you build bridges of connection. You discover that people are often more welcoming than your shyness led you to believe. Finding common ground, even small things, can open up wonderful conversations. It makes the interaction feel safe and enjoyable. Challenge that inner critic, that voice that tells you you're not enough. It is often wrong. You have so much to offer just by being you. When you focus on learning about others, you give less power to that critical voice. You realize that connection is about sharing, not performing. It's about curiosity, not perfection. Embrace it.